This is the interface you're going to be seeing once you log into the tin.jtb.gov.ng website.
JTB seeks to take tax administration to the next level through this innovation of establishing the TIN system, which consolidates all taxpayer databases in the country.
The new system guarantees that each taxpayer's details are readily available to them at their fingertips all day, everywhere, anywhere in the world. Furthermore, the new system also possesses the capacity to integrate with relevant agencies and leverage on already captured data. The system is designed in such a manner that each taxpayer is assigned a unique and universal taxpayer identification number, and is now possible for any taxpayer to view, retrieve, or update his or her tax profile from anywhere 24/7.
A very warm welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. I am Pearl Naimaka.
And I am Chiamaka Ohaochi.
A few episodes ago, we brought you the story of the go-live ceremony of the new JTB TIN registration system, which was launched by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, in Abuja.
On today's episode of the program, we are bringing you the story of the Southwest Regional Flag-Off ceremony of the new National Taxpayers Identification Number Registration System and Consolidated National Taxpayer Database, which was held in Lagos.
The occasion was graced by the presence of leading lights in the taxation industry in Nigeria. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was on hand to officially flag off the new JTB TIN registration system. Chief Oseni Alama is the Executive Secretary, Joint Tax Board.
The new TIN registration system and its consolidated database of individual and corporate taxpayers has been designed to form the foundation upon which the nation's automated tax administration system is built. The new system reduces the burden of multiple registration of taxpayers, as well as promoting the ease of doing business and paying taxes.
In his remarks, the Chairman Joint Tax Board, Executive Chairman FIRS, Mr. Babatunde Fala, restated the benefits of the new TIN registration system to both tax administrators and taxpayers.
This new system, while improving the efficiency and output of the entire tax administration process, is meant to provide a variety of convenience to both the taxpayer and the tax administrator. It is pertinent to note that the new system guarantees that each taxpayer's details are readily available to them at their fingertips all day, everywhere, anywhere in the world. Furthermore, the new system also possesses the capacity to integrate with relevant agencies and leverage on already captured data, deploy analytics to discover underlying and correlating trends and patterns that could lead to better visibility and increased internally generated revenue for all tiers of government. This will significantly reduce the burden of manual taxpayer information management and, by extension, grossly crash the cost of collection. The system is designed in such a manner that each taxpayer is assigned a unique and universal taxpayer identification number, and is now possible for any taxpayer to view, retrieve, or update his or her tax profile from anywhere 24/7. For a state like Lagos State, which has continued to crave or carve a positive niche for itself in terms of innovation and dynamism in tax administration, and for neighboring states within the region that are towing similar paths of tax reform, the new system can only but consolidate the efficiency and effectiveness of the tax administration process. This new reality drives the desire by the JTB to ensure that the identification of individuals and corporate bodies for tax purposes in Nigeria is achievable.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu underscored the importance of uniquely identifying each and every taxpayer in the quest for revenue generation.
Identity management, IN, has and is still a major challenge in virtually all spheres of activity in our country, and in tax administration is no exception. It is therefore no surprise that many states, including our state, have tried to address the issue through one scheme or the other. The reality, however, is that there is no matter how sophisticated or cutting-edge these things are, it's still just subnational, where it's really suboptimal and most likely it lacks cross-border acceptability and recognition. Therefore, the new JTB, the National TIN Registration System, is a welcome addition to the state of reform focused on making identity management and tax administration in Nigeria to the next level. Our tax to GDP ratio is one of the lowest in the world. It is therefore generally agreed that there is still a lot of room for improvement, and so this laudable initiative we're flagging off today will go a long way towards bridging this deficit by capturing eligible taxpayers within the tax nets.
And then the formal go-live of the JTB TIN system. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was presented with his own TIN certificate.
Mr. Peter Omorigbe of the JTB took the audience through the workings of the new TIN system.
This is the interface you're going to be seeing once you log into the tin.jtb.gov.ng website. It provides you with basic fields, basic tabs for verification. If you need to create a profile for yourself as a taxpayer, the system gives you the leverage to do that. And of course, you can also just register for TIN without having to create a profile, and you get your TIN numbers approved and issued. This is what the taxpayer identification number application, mobile application app looks like. It gives you the same features for the registration, for verification. You're able to locate the nearest tax office around you. You get the address of the tax authorities all over the country just with your mobile phone. It reminds you of important tax dates for taxpayers who are not abreast with the relevant tax dates. And of course, for taxpayers who would like to learn more about the tax laws, you have a compendium of tax laws that are relevant for use by the taxpayers. Then we have the TIN verification portal, which is a portal that enables you to put relevant information, just very few information like your date of birth for individual, and either your BVN, NIN, or phone number. And of course, it brings out your TIN and other information on the other pane. So with this can happen in less than 30 seconds. You put in the basic information you need. As a company, you can put in your date of registration, put in your CAC registration number, and it brings out the information. Now, as you can see below, you can actually put your email address, and then it sends you your TIN certificate automatically, or you decide to print this on the fly. And as we see, this is what the TIN certificate looks like. Very quickly, I'll just take us through a live demo of searching for a taxpayer, an individual. As you can see, we put the taxpayer's date of birth, the year, the month, and the day. And then right here, we put the taxpayer's phone number. And once you do that, all you need to do is just to click the capture button, is just to show that you're a human being and not a robot. And immediately that is done, the next thing that needs to be done is just to click on search. Having done this, immediately you get that response. You see, it's almost immediately, it's almost very quickly. You can't even notice that it has changed. But this provides immediately the taxpayer information on the other side of the screen. And that taxpayer could decide to either send or print the certificate immediately.
Tax Matters spoke to the Executive Chairman, Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. Ayodele Suber. What does this new registration mean for the tax administration?
This is what we call leveraging on technology. It's almost like a revolution right now because it's going to help towards generating more revenue. More importantly, it's going to help towards the ease of doing business. Taxpayers who are stakeholders will be enabled to register, to search, find such important information as the nearest tax offices that are close to them, as well as also look at the profile of their transactions with the various tax authorities and other identity management companies. They will be able to see all the remittances that they have made, and they will also see all the assessments. And they can, more importantly, print, when they register, they can print their TIN certificate directly or even send it to their emails through the touch of a button.
So Lagos State already has this. What does it mean now?
Well, Lagos State, we're one of the members of the JTB, and the integration has been done, on a pilot basis, and already, it's generated a lot of interest because our call centers are receiving a lot of calls and inquiries from members of the public. They want to know how the TIN system works and how it operates. So we think that it's going to be a revolution, and it definitely is going to help with the administration of taxes in the state.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS calls on all corporate organizations operating in Nigeria to register for the purpose of payment of taxes and obtain a tax identification number TIN. All registered companies must obtain a tax identification number immediately from the nearest FIRS office. You can also collect and return tax registration forms from the Federal Inland Revenue Service Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams, FEAT, on compliance checks exercise in your area. A company which is yet to commence business after at least 6 months of incorporation must pay a pre-operational levy of 20,000 naira in the first year and 25,000 naira for subsequent years to obtain its tax clearance certificate TCC. Note that filing and payment of VAT and withholding tax returns must be done on or before the 21st day of every month. Register for VAT. File all tax returns as and at when due. Be a responsible corporate citizen of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Welcome back. You're still watching Tax Matters, and our next story is on yet another of the numerous great things happening in the taxation industry in Nigeria. It is the story of an Amazon, the story of the giant strides of one of the leading lights in the taxation industry, Professor Abiola Teju-Shomori, the second female president of the CITN and the first female professor of taxation in Nigeria, who recently delivered her inaugural lecture on taxpayers, voices, disconnect and tax compliance on Wednesday, 26 June 2019 at Caleb University. The event was kicked off with the presentation of the citation of Professor Mrs. Teju-Shomori.
I welcome you to this very, very important occasion in the life of this university. It is our fourth inaugural lecture, and we are not only having the first female professor in Caleb University, but we are having the first female professor of taxation in the entire country. A round of applause for them.
Professor Shomori began her inaugural lecture by paying tribute to her constituency, the FIRS.
Without FIRS, there wouldn't be this inaugural lecture. Because I joined Federal Revenue Service as a Shakespeare disciple. I didn't know anything about debit or credit before I joined FIRS. FIRS, thank you very much.
Professor Teju-Shomori dwelt on causes of discontent among taxpayers, which often lead to resistance to tax payment.
Now, the topic is about taxpayers. Therefore, it is significant to note at the onset that the taxpayer is an important variable in the achievement of the objectives of every tax revenue authority. As important as a taxpayer is, there are some times that a taxpayer will be aggrieved. When is a taxpayer aggrieved? When? A taxpayer is aggrieved when he is deprived of legal rights. When a taxpayer is ill-treated, that taxpayer is aggrieved. When a taxpayer is provoked or vexed, that taxpayer is aggrieved. And when a taxpayer is wronged, that taxpayer is also aggrieved.
Professor Shomorin went ahead to state the connection between taxpayers' grievances and resistance to taxes.
There have been resistance in respect of different types of taxes. There have been resistance in respect of air travel tax, bachelor's tax, dog tax, malt tax, real estate tax, road tax, and so on. There have been protests in value-added tax. Value-added tax was first of all introduced in France in 1954. We know that value-added tax is a consumption tax. It has some features, beautiful features, and value-added tax is a money spinner. I've never seen a country that has introduced VAT and has abolished it because they get a lot of revenue from VAT. Nigeria is not an exception to this, but countries generally protest. Each time they want to introduce it, there's always a protest against value-added tax.
Professor Shomorin also highlighted areas of concerns of taxpayers with regard to taxes paid by them.
Another notable complaint from taxpayers is that tax burden is too high. In Nigeria, the Manufacturer Association have complained that a typical company pays too many taxes. A company pays tax, company's income tax, they pay VAT, withholding tax in respect of some transactions, where assets are disposed of by that company, capital gains tax is also paid.
On personal income tax rates in Nigeria.
Another notable argument is that tax rate is very high. They complain like that in Nigeria. But during my research, I discovered that tax rate in Nigeria is not that high, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Vice Chancellor, the tax rate in Nigeria for personal income tax is not high. The highest rate is 24%. But I discovered in my research that there are countries with as high as over 60%. Finland has 62.2%. Sweden has 61.86%. Denmark, 65.9%. Aruba, Belgium, Chad, and Ivory Coast, and Netherlands, they have 60%. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Vice Chancellor, there are higher rates in other countries.
This got the audience worked up. But then, this other side of the coin, also from her.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the other side of the story is that there are some countries that do not impose personal income tax. Now, as of December 2018, Bahamas, Bahrain, Bermuda, Cayman Islands, Kuwait don't impose personal income tax.
It is not only the taxpayer who has a voice. The tax authorities also have a voice.
There are voices raised by government, authorities, study groups, and the judiciary. For example, the tax authorities have called for autonomy. There have been cries about low tax to GDP ratio. They call that the economy should be diversified. No, say no to domestic evasion, it is illegal. Voices have also been raised through the tax reforms of 2003 and so on, whereby cost of collection has to be improved. Abolish AMYMAT taxes, abolish withholding tax is another cry. There is no consistency with true fiscal federalism. There's also been a cry about that one. The study group complained that the Nigerian constitution lacks national tax policy, whereby that gave rise to what we have now. Voices have been raised against international loopholes, whereby BEPS was set up with its 15-action plan. Action 1 addresses the challenges of digital economy, while Action 15 is about multilateral instruments.
On connection or disconnection with taxpayers.
In Section 5, I looked at what needs to be done to connect taxpayers with tax authorities. To connect is to join together. Disconnect is the opposite of to connect. So what needs to be done are highlighted in the lecture book. For example, in Kwara, they have connected taxpayers through their community impact program. So that is one that can be done. Some state governments also are now employing POS system to collect taxes. We can also learn from other countries in order to connect taxpayers to the tax authority. The HRM, they have put some measures in place that we can look at. There's interactive tax assistance tool, the taxpayer adjustment, then there's a tax refund. When there's a tax refund, they pay their tax refund promptly without allowing taxpayers to wait for it. Then there's a taxpayer's bill of rights. You can connect through the social media. There's IRS number blog. They use tweet and other forms of communication to connect.
Professor Shomori got the audience roaring with these anecdotes on the Swedish Tax Authority.
Now take a cue from the Swedish Tax Office. The Swedes are noted for high personal taxes. Even though they are noted for high personal taxes, but the Swedish Tax Agency, STA, is still very popular. Why is the STA so popular? Because the Swedish Tax Agency keeps track of important events in the life of a taxpayer. They do more than just collect tax. They keep track of many important events in their life. The STA is connected to the taxpayer from birth. The STA is connected to the taxpayer from birth. For instance, in Sweden, when a baby is born, the STA registers that birth. They send out a personal identity number. It's the tax agency to whom the parents then apply to register the baby's name. So how can that baby run away? There's no way. Because from birth, the baby has been captured. Each time you move, you have to notify the tax agency of your new address within a week. So no running away, no hiding. Even in death, you'll be requiring the services of the Swedish Tax Agency. The doctor who declares you dead informs the tax agency that this taxpayer is dead. And your grieving relatives will need to get the cremation or burial certificate required for the funeral from the tax office before they can say their final goodbyes.
Where there's a problem, there's always a solution. Professor Shomori ended her lecture by preferring solutions to problems identified by her.
There are things what we need to do to raise the level of tax compliance. And in trying to do that, I looked at voluntary compliance, and then there's need to comply with tax laws, need to enhance taxpayers' tax knowledge. There's need to simplify the tax laws. I looked at what needs to be done to connect taxpayers with tax authorities and also to improve voluntary tax compliance. First of all, you need to find the taxpayers. If you don't find the taxpayers, you cannot assess them. Probably that was why the taxpayer identification number was put in place, which is under the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act, actually Section 8Q of the FRS Establishment Act 2007, Cap F36, introduces TIN. Because the functions of a tax authority are four. One, identify the taxpayers. After you have identified the taxpayers, assess the taxpayers. Having assessed the taxpayers, collect the tax from the taxpayers. Don't pocket the taxes. Account for the taxes you have collected. Let the taxes reach the central bank, where it becomes very difficult for you to collect that tax. You cannot but enforce. That is why we have some sections in the law, particularly in the Federal Revenue Service Establishment Act, Cap F36. There are so many provisions in FRS Act. In fact, I think about a whole section 36 or so, were devoted to enforcement activities.
On this note of appeal,
tax authorities, please, please, please give taxpayers a voice. Thank you very much.
it is obvious that women are proving their mettle in the taxation industry, not only in Nigeria, but worldwide. Professor Teji Shomori, we are proud of you. And to the J2B, thank you for creating a tax-friendly environment.
To you, our viewers, thank you for keeping faith with us week after week. See you next week on this same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Bye for now.